Alright, so now we get to the episode day. This is an interesting episode due to just how much of it is devoted to walking around and looking at things. To be honest, if you were to look at this from a TTRPG party perspective, one could reasonably see this as a party of four with four retainers and an NPC ally as a guide. That would actually work reasonably well as a analogy, which results in you having a group of 9 people just wandering around looking for stuff. This is a interesting example in Star Wars of a location that's not monobiome, because you have this here, which is a slightly vegetation covered hillside area. And that is actually one thing that is repeated in almost all of the things you see of Kofar, is that it's rugged terrain. It's like mountains and valleys and not particularly jagged terrain though, but large elevation changes. Anyways though, so the basic gist of this is that this is episode 4, which got put in the view order after the first flashback episode. Also, day-night, you could relatively easily re-edit it to be a single 1-hour time slot episode, because at a runtime of 30 minutes, or 35-ish minutes for both of them, cut a little bit of filler out, and I personally suspect that this was originally planned as a single episode, and then they decided that they needed at least 8 episodes for the series, so they re-edited it to be more boring, and used that as a justification for having 2 separate episodes. But aside from that, back to the thing. This is a pretty simple thing. The party is given a quest: find Kelnaka. And to do so, they need this guy who can apparently track Kelnaka by scent. Why they need to track Kelnaka by scent, I have no idea. No, seriously, it just kind of doesn't get explained in the episode why Kelnaka is going to such lengths to hide in the forest from the other Jedi. Now, again, this is going along with the fact that Torben took a vow of silence and just hung out in a Jedi temple meditating for 10 years. Well, Kelnaka's equivalent of that was going to the forest on Kofar and living like a Yeti in a hut. A hut that he built out of the remains of a crashed spaceship. Yeah, we're never going to find out where that crashed spaceship came from. Anyways, or it could actually be that it's not really a crashed spaceship. It's actually what he arrived on the planet in, and it only looks like it's crashed because it's weathered and well, dirty. Oh. Anyway, so more about Kelnaka. Wookiee Jedi. Now, one of the things about this that's interesting is that they don't really go into any depth about trying to understand Kelnaka's motives or anything. They kind of hint that he has a bad temper, which is a rather recurring trope for Wookiees. It's like, don't make the Wookiee angry. Yeah, that's been in since the first Star Wars. Having Kelnaka be a Jedi, you would think that he would be better at stuff than that. Because, again, the whole Jedi mental discipline thing. Yeah, the writers of this forgot that that exists. When it, unless it, was an important plot point, then they talked about it. And then the rest of the time they ignored it. Yeah, Jedi is supposed to be calm, collected individuals who don't lash out in anger as their default method of doing stuff. Now, at some point, Kelnaka did apparently have a Padawan. Yeah, when was this? Oh, yeah, that's right. This actually wasn't in the show. Anyways, Kelnaka is apparently killed by Chimera slash Venomous or whatever his actual real name is, which we never actually get his real name. And this apparently happens while the team of Jedi are trying to find him. How exactly that happened is completely unknowable. Because of the fact that we see Chimera over here, the Jedi and May are approaching Kelnaka's living quarters, and May finds Kelnaka inside dead. We don't actually see how anyone got there, and we were led to believe that May was actually ahead of Chimera and closer to the hut before entering it and finding Kelnaka dead. Then Chimera pops up standing on top of the hut when he challenges the group of Jedi to a fight. Yeah. Don't ask me how that works. Anyway, so looking at this from a TTRPG perspective, quest important NPC. You're supposed to track down the quest important NPC. That actually works as a story beat. Pretty good, honestly, in my opinion. But you need to take into consideration the fact that said quest important NPC needs to actually be written as a character and not just a walking carpet. That is actually my biggest complaint about this particular show, is that they more or less wrote Kelnaka as a walking carpet and gave him no actual personality. Heck, meme worthy or not, Chewbacca in the original Star Wars has a personality. He never talks in anything that the viewers can understand, but due to the way he interacts with others, you get a feeling for what he's saying and how he feels. Anyways, going back to Day. So, the quest to find Kelnaka is the big deal. First, of course, we have a meeting of the Jedi on Coruscant to organize the quest. Vernestra, Holden, a whole bunch of other people who are functionally extras because they are literally here for one scene and never seen again. Which does actually make sense when you consider the sheer number of Jedi in the organization at this point in Star Wars history. There's like hundreds or thousands of them. And the Jedi Temple on Coruscant is one of the locations that has the largest number of Jedi. So having dozens of random extra Jedi just there hanging out actually works. Now, giving them specific names that are recognizable as being characters who shouldn't be born yet, that's another matter. Something I personally would avoid doing if you're writing a TTRPG, because having your players complain about it in the middle of a game is generally tends to sidetrack the game, and just something you're better off not doing. Anyways, though, so this has got put in after the flashback episode, but during this meeting in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, that would actually be a very good time to give the players exposition dumps about flashbacks. And if I was to re-edit the series, I would probably cut up episode 3 and put pieces of it into episode 4. Because of the fact that that's where the information belongs. You have people talking about what happened in the past instead of putting all the flashbacks into an episode devoted solely to them. Which, okay, there were a few small flashbacks outside the 2 flashback episodes, but you could have put in like 5 to 10 minute pieces of flashbacks in other locations where they logically made sense, and not just put in an entire episode of it. And if you're doing this as a TTRPG, flashbacks are something that already happened. Flashbacks are known facts, so you're not going to have the players act out the flashback because of the fact that it's not for the players to decide. It's something that you, as the game master, have established as backstory. You are telling the players what happened in the past, not giving them the opportunity to mess it up. Anyways, because let's face it, whether players want to mess the story up or not, the simple fact that the players don't know where the story is supposed to go means that having them try to act it out, they're probably not going to act it out the way you wanted them to. So you're better off just giving it to them in pieces, and spend a minute telling them, like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and maybe describe in detail what happened, and then let the players do stuff for a little while, then give them another one of those. It's a good way to handle exposition dumping and flashbacks, and give the players things to do rather than just having the players get completely sidelined. And again, that was my main criticism of episode 3 of this, was that it sidelined the entire TV show. And also did so in a way that was half filler anyways. You could cut out like half of episode 3 and not bother showing all of that stuff. Like, seriously, why did we need to spend like however many minutes watching Soul climb the side of a mountain? I mean, like, yes, I get it. Climbing a mountain takes a while. Making it take 5 minutes in a TV show is a bad idea. And also, that's kind of sort of what would happen if you tried simulating the length of time it takes to actually climb a mountain in the middle of a TTRPG, because the players, 1 or 2 of them, might actually care. The rest of them are going to be like, okay, this is boring. Can we get on with it now? You really don't want to do that. So, also, this has a lot of stuff in it where Chimere is foreshadowing the fact that he's going to be revealed to be the Darth Smilo, or whatever he's called. Actually, yeah, we don't get a Darth name for him either. People jokingly call him Smilo Ren because of that screwball helmet he wears, but that's not actually ever used as a name for him. Anyway, so after they plan their excursion to go to find Kilnaka, unbeknownst to them, Chimere and May are simultaneously doing the same thing. Because May has, after being trained to be a Sith for 16 years, finally come to the final test of whether she will make the grade and become a true Sith. And to do that, she has to hunt down and kill all 4 of the Jedi that had been involved in the Brindok incident. And that is the entire reason why Chimere and May are here on Kofar. The Wookiee is number 3 on the list. Which, they actually do have them do a few interesting things. That actually is kind of semi-okay. The entire logic of them being here has issues, but the actual mechanics of what the two of them do while they're trying to find Kelnaka is at least partially reasonable. And does kind of fit this what I would expect from a board player who is being accompanied by a talkative but unhelpful NPC who is telling her what she needs to do, but not actually telling her what to do. And obviously, May and Chimere get to Kelnaka before the group of Jedi do because, well, they actually get to the planet first and start looking first. On a side note, it's incredibly plot convenient that both groups show up on the planet close enough together to bump into each other, because we didn't really have any specific reason for it. Okay, they do in the episode come up with the logic of May killed Indara and Torben, and thus May is probably killing the people who were on Brindok, so May is probably going to go after Kelnaka next. It's just that the time window for this is a matter of hours, which isn't actually a particularly tight time window, but it's tight enough to strain credulity a little bit. However, plot convenience is actually one of those things that's a standard thing for TTRPGs because, well, realistically, a lot of plots just wouldn't happen if you tried to make the time scale work normally. And that's actually another thing that pops up in the series repeatedly is the amount of time things take is whatever amount of time the plot needs them to take. Good thing, bad thing, it's a thing. Now, Basil is interesting in that while he has a powerful enough sense of smell to track Kelnaka miles through the landscape of Kofar, he's not actually good enough to do it quickly. And, well, why exactly they don't use high-tech sensors to locate Kelnaka is never even acknowledged as a question that exists in universe. Like, they literally don't even mention the idea of it. Like, oh, well, in order to fight him, we need to have a small humanoid rodent alien sniff him out. Otherwise, we won't be able to find him. Why? Yeah, good luck figuring that out. One thing that is noteworthy is that this is a appropriate time to have a translator droid. The only one in here that actually has a translator droid is Osha, because she has that little tiny tricorder-sized droid that she carries around with her and uses as a multi-tool. And no one else has a translator droid. They do actually make an interesting joke about how most Jedi do actually speak multiple languages. Like there's intergalactic standard, which everyone speaks with. Okay, see, the Wookiees and whatever race Basil is actually do understand. Oh, Tinan. Yeah, Basil's race is called Tinans. Okay. Well, anyway, they understand Galactic Standard, but they are physically incapable of speaking it why they don't do something like having a tricorder-like device where they can type in whatever they mean to say and have the device say it for them. It is a technology that does exist in Star Wars. It has actually been used in stuff, because one thing that comes up in certain media is that Jabba can't speak standard either. If Jabba doesn't have a translator droid like C-3PO to communicate his will, he uses a device that he pokes buttons on to make it speak for him. Boy. And yeah, that's one of those things I don't understand about this, is that they're intentionally making it for throwing in communication barriers that don't logically make sense in a technologically advanced civilization, because oops, in real life you could do that in real life, and they can't do that in a sci-fi setting. Yeah. Anyway, most of the episode is actually just walk through the forest and deal with Umbra moths. But that's an interesting thing, is that, like I mentioned before, this particular planet, they actually show multiple biomes. So it's like you have that grassland area. Okay, it's a very mountainous grassland area, but still. And then you come into this really, really dense forest that it's not tropical. It really isn't a tropical forest, but it's a pretty dense forest. Relatively warm, but not like tropical forest. Umber moths individually really aren't a huge deal because it's just a big bug. And also, the umber moths apparently don't eat people. Yeah, they seem to feed off of the trees. They're also territorial and stuff, and light apparently bothers them a little bit. Although, realistically, umber moths aren't. It's not like waving a red flag in front of a bull, most of the time, anyways. The way they show it working is that umber moths actually sleep at night. Yeah, when they go through the forest at night, the umber moths are all sleeping, and it was the lights that wake them up. Anyways, so that's about it, because they walk through the forest, have a skirmish with a handful of umber moths, and eventually meet Chimere, at which point they do this, and the episode ends. Like I said, I think it was originally written as a single episode and then split into two, and with a little padding added to it. And also, the series head writer apparently liked the idea of making a humanoid alien that was cute and furry. So she created Basil. Which, I mean, I guess it's fine-ish. Yeah, whatever. Also, uh, like I said before, a lot of the characters in this are literally unnamed. Yeah, Ithiopan is this one here. One of the few in this group that's not a human. Yeah, this one also not human. The other 6, all humans. Why? Because it's cheaper to do the costuming for characters that are humans. Whether that actually makes sense for the Jedi as an organization, well, I mean, we do see several Jedi in this that aren't human, so, but more of them are human than not. Well, anyways, so my final thought with this one is having a big reveal like, oh hey, this is what you're going to deal with next game session, is actually a reasonably good way to end a game session when you're actually planning to do another game session to follow up. And I think that's about it. think next time I'm going to go into more detail on Kofar and stuff, because and Kilnaka, because there's a lot more to that than I can put into this. And I actually like Kofar as an environment. It is actually something that is just new enough to not feel samey, but also not be off the deep end weird. And with that thought, I will say see you later.